Tonight on the Heathen Burgundy Hour, we sit down with a man who's older than some burial mounds, wiser than a goat with two left horns, and allegedly once headbutted a frost giant for looking at him wrong. Yes, friends, grab your horn of mead and your rune-etched knee brace, because my guest tonight is the legendary Uncle Dregnr the Wise. This is not a drill, nor a vision brought on by fermented mushrooms. This is very real. Very real. Stay tuned. Welcome to the program, and I trust you arrived via goat-drawn longship as usual.
I did. A goat boat seemed much easier than trying to ride a horse that kept asking me riddles at every time we stopped. The trip was taking much longer than anticipated, so long that it angered the ravens that were tagging along with us, and they just kept chirping and chirping, and it was annoying. So, yes, the goat boat it was.
There's nothing worse than angry ravens. Remarkable. I had to Uber here, and my driver tried to sell me essential oils made of moss and betrayal. Now tell me, Uncle D, how did you come to be known as the Wise? Was it scholarships, battles, or did you simply outlive everyone who remembered your mistakes?
As almost true as that last one is, there's an old prophecy once that stated, one with beard of silver would eat jacks of cracker and find at the bottom gift of laughter. But I somehow opened the wrong box and just went with it. And I just kept that name kind of like a badge of honor.
Interesting. Interesting. That's definitely a way to become one of the wise elders in the community. So we're going to do a little thing called rune or rant. I have a sack of sacred runes hand whittled from the jawbones of bureaucrats. I'll draw one at random, and you tell me what ancient wisdom it holds, or just a rant about whatever it reminds you of. You ready?
Absolutely.
T-Wise.
Tiwaz. Well, first off, if you're going to draw any runes from bureaucrats, the only thing they're going to feed you is lies. And anyway, let's see here. Tiwaz. We'll go with the natural bravery of things, the arrow leading to tomorrow, or we can go with the arrow best avoided is the one not shot at you, or something along those lines. I think was a Western. John Wayne said it, I think. I don't know. Maybe Clint Eastwood.
Well, if Dregnar the Wise says it, it must be true. We're going to try one more. Let's see what we've got here. Other than technical difficulties.
I don't know that rune.
The next room was Othalu.
Othallo. Okay. So either Odin's rune or family. Often very much a pain either way. Whether a gift or, well, family, you don't always get you don't always get to choose what you're given, and sometimes you have to make the best of a bad situation. Whether that's the gift or the family, sometimes you gotta make the best of a bad situation.
I completely agree. So now we're going to try something. It's called Tales from the Campfire That Probably Didn't Happen. Your saga is long. Some say you once defeated a tax collector using only a riddle and a poorly trained goose. Is there truth in that tale, or was it just a drunk bard singing a tale?
Slight miscalculation. It was not a tax collector, it was a politician. You see, there was a very annoying orange that kept trying to grab my cat that's often dropped around my shoulders, and I begged a goose to step in. Goose, as often, if you, just like in Top Gun, the hero of the saga, I may not be remembering that movie right. Um, that goose jumped in, but bit the hands of that offending person, making life better for cats all around and making hands smaller for annoying oranges.
Interesting. It's amazing how tales can change every time they're told.
Very much so.
Truly, the goose is mightier than the sword. Now, has there ever been a moment, just one, where you thought, maybe that was a bad idea?
We won't be speaking of my ex-wife. Instead, I will tell you the time I danced around a maypole and summoned a winter storm. You see, there were Scotty and Uller since I moved up here. They clearly didn't like seeing me perform a naked, drunken version of the Macarena. So they sent in a blistering winds and cold, snowy day on May to make sure that I put on clothes again, and I've never taken them off since. That's another reason the beard's as long as it is to cover things. And I've never been sans pants since then.
Interesting. So now we're going to turn to a segment we call Ask Me Anything. And this is questions from our studio and also questions from some of your fans. So now we're first going to turn to questions from our audience, written on scrolls, stone tablets, and one suspiciously blood-stained napkin. Our first question: Dear Uncle, what is the best way to prepare for Ragnarok without getting sucked into an MLM?
Oh, that's different. I don't know. Pyramid schemes are pretty much they're hard to get around these days. Um, if you're not getting pyramided, you're getting Ponzi'd. Uh, I say the best thing in the world to do is probably take all your toenail clippings and burn them in a fire while dancing backwards. If that doesn't get somebody's attention, nothing will.
Okay, our next question is a mystical or philosophical. What is heavier, a broken oath or a silent truth?
That is a great and deep question. I would say these days, a silent truth would be heavier because many people don't know the truth, the real truth. And too often, oaths are broken, so they almost don't mean much these days.
Interesting. So, our next question is, and I'm sure you're fully aware, there have been many that have made the statement the gods do not care about us. If the gods are quiet, does that mean they trust us or that we bore them?
That depends on which god or goddess is being quiet at the moment. For instance, if Freya is being quiet, well, that just means that there's not a new piece of jewelry around that I need to purchase at the moment or earn. Um, if Loki's being quiet at the moment, there it could be good because there's finally peace at hand and we can all take a good breath. Or something big is coming around the corner. You just need, that's why situational awareness, someone's always got to be on the wall watching.
Okay, definitely an interesting take. Our next set of questions are going to fall under your style of practical wisdom. How do you keep ravens from gossiping about you to the dead?
I personally don't, because I like to hear what they bring back. But if I was going to, I would give them lots of peanuts and shiny things to keep them um, otherwise occupied.
We do know that ravens like shiny things, much like the Fae.
Yes.
What is the proper way to sharpen a weapon you never intend to use?
That's a trick question, because every weapon is a tool, and every tool is designed to be used. Whether it ever gets used or not, it should always be in the best maintained order and always ready to go. So whether it's expected to be used or not, a sharpened blade should always be done at the best on a really good whetstone, followed by a leather strop.
Sounds very similar to the wise words of a gunnery sergeant I worked for. So we're going to move on to our next to last set of questions, which are absurd but sincere. What is your opinion on talking goats who overuse metaphors?
I haven't spoken to my mom in a long time. So I'm going to have to say that they have their place. They're not always a pleasant one, but they have their place.
Interesting. Is it considered rude to name your sword after your ex?
No, because, well, naming your sword after your ex. Every sword should be named kindness. No sword should be named after anybody with ill intent, because it should all be kindness.
Interesting. So we're going to move into the last section of questions. And then I have one question after that. That is mine. But this section is legacy and regret. What do you whisper to the fire when no one is listening?
I whisper to the fire. I ask to see tomorrow and the secrets that she contains.
Interesting answer. Which part of your legend is false, but you let people believe anyway?
I thought there was a follow up to that because there's none of it that's actually false, but okay. I didn't know if you had specifics. Um, the only part that would ever potentially be false was there was a rumor that once that went around that said my beard soaked up an entire bar fight. That didn't happen. It did leave the bartender because, well, good manners dictated that somebody poured the next round.
Interesting. It's well known throughout the realm that if you have traveled in the same circles as Tiger Balm the Charitable and Alice the Mischievous Fae, in these interactions, what do you feel has been your most enjoyable interaction with these two legendary beings?
The most enjoyable interaction would have to be, let's see. The time that for Alice that she magically appeared um here to on Max the Corgalicious and helped out with a wonderful event that I had going on at the time, and all her wonderful fey magical powers. Um, this is me admitting that yes, there's fey there. Um, all those fey magical powers, they lit the whole place up while she was here. The sunshine seemed a little brighter, and the energy, it was just it was a lot better. I mean, it was probably Max. It was the corgi. Let's be honest. Um, and then with Tiger Balm, that would have to be the time that I had to challenge him, and he succeeded in winning the Little Ancestor Olympics, which happened a little over a year ago. And he blew everybody's expectations out of the water and ended up curling a truck over a mile and a half just out of sheer almost spite because he wanted to.
Interesting. I believe it's a really great thing what Tiger Balm the Charitable does for people, and also we're going to get to the last question, but I would like for you to, if you could expand a little bit on the two things that you do, two of your passions, which are the Valencia Project, which I have one of your awesome t-shirts from that, and the Valkyrie Tree.
Well, I appreciate you asking about those. The Valencia project is my um, it's kind of sort of my baby. I started it a couple years ago when uh, there was a video going around of a young lady who had gone to school and had her very first Mjolnir. She'd been presented it at home. She went to school and had it ripped off by somebody, and nobody at school did anything. And I asked the mom if it was okay if a beginner blacksmith, made a Mjolnir and sent it to her. And she was like, yeah, that would be wonderful. And I sent that Mjolnir off, and the mom made a video. A couple more people reached out and said, hey, we really like this. We also know another kid over here. So I started making more, and I started making more, and people really liked it. And it started becoming where the tagline was, we're going to make Midgard better one Mjolnir at a time. And so far, I think we've really no. 6. Odin, shush.
We seem to have pets on both sides wanting to get in on this interview.
Oh, God. So, um, and then from there, it just expand. It went and grew and grew. Now we are helping inmates get the right information and books so that they avoid the wrong path while they're in there and come out with bad ideals and hating people more than anyone ever should hate another human being, which nobody should. But a lot of uh, we're helping to fight white supremacy and stuff like that on the inside of places like that where it's really um, the education or lack of education leads to bad ideas. Bad ideas lead to essentially bad people, and we're fighting that from the get go. Um, the other facet of that was the Valkyrie tree, like you mentioned, and that is, I got the idea last year. Um, I was walking around the store and I noticed that they'd already had the uh, angel trees put up, and it just clicked in my head that we, the pagans of Utah, pagans in general, don't have anything like that. We don't have a committee or a place we can go to and ask for help or things like that. So I went and I talked to a few of the metaphysical stores up and down the valley here, and I asked if it would be okay if I put a tree up in their place with some names and stuff on there, some ornaments of some local children, and I put the call out, and people answered. We had 30 families, and oh, the entire community came out in just more support than I could have ever imagined. Those kids had maybe not the best Yule, but a much better one than they were gonna have. And now we're already gonna spinning up ideas for um, you know, the Valkyrie Tree 2 Electric Boogaloo. So
Well, they are definitely two projects that we here at the Pagan News Network are proud to say that we have assisted with buying the shirts and look forward to doing what we can to assist you in these projects. I do remember when the video went around of the young girl that had her Mjolnir ripped off, and even though we tend to have a ton of drama in our community, especially in social media, it's nice to see when everyone comes together in situations like that.
yes, it is.
So I've got one last question for you that has come specifically for me. And this one is, what is one piece of advice every new young pagan fresh on their path should ignore?
Ooh, should ignore. Wow, that's a new twist on it. Ignore. This is going to be the exact opposite of everything everyone told you in high school and junior high. Ignore the cool kids. Ignore that group over there that says, "Yeah, we got everything figured out. We know what we're doing, and you have to do it this way." Ignore the, ignore. anyone who says that you have to do it their way, because this is your path. We can help you walk it. We can put some light on it. We can move some debris, but there's none of us that can walk it for you. So nobody should know for you.
I completely agree. We should definitely ignore when people are trying to tell us our path instead of allowing us to walk it ourselves. So this next segment before we have our closing remarks is called Wisdom in a Tankard. Before we let you stagger into the woods again, I'll ask my guests this. What fills your tankard these days? What keeps you going in these times of chaos, war, and overpriced kombucha?
This time of year, it's a good glass of lemonade mixed with about half and half with mead, just to help me sleep a little bit.
Well, if it's as hot as it is, if it's as hot as there as it is here, then a tall glass of lemonade is definitely going to hit the spot. So this tonight has been Uncle Dregnr the Wise. Your words, as always, have been enlightening. May your boots remain dry, your beard remain parasite-free, and your enemies continue to trip over their own hubris. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Uncle Dregnr on the Heathen Burgundy Hour. We thank you for joining us, and we look forward to you tuning in to our next segment. This has been the Heathen Burgundy Hour, brought to you by the Pagan News Network. The Heathen Burgundy Hour is a Blackthorn production.